Listen, watch, share. This is BBC Radio 1 Extra.
Lock your phone, step away from your console, power down your PC. Newsbeat is asking, is gaming good for you?
What I love about gaming is kind of how you're able to connect with so many different people.
It's always been a thing in my life, like alongside TV and cartoons, because me and my family would sit around playing them.
I just love that it's so interactive. You can kind of talk to people all around the world.
Favourite game of all time has to be Minecraft, just because how much stuff you can do with it.
Call of Duty, without a doubt.
My favourite series is the Halo series.
BBC
Newsbeat.
This is Jonathan Blake, Newsbeat's technology reporter in the Live Lounge. More than half of us do it regularly. And as a country, we spend more on it than going to the cinema and listening to music. Gaming. From Call of Duty to Candy Crush, whether you're killing time or it's an obsession. Tonight, we've filled the Live Lounge with gamers and people working in the UK games industry. Hi, everyone. Hello. Say hello. Excellent. It's good to have you here. And we are asking, is gaming good for us? We're live on Radio 1 and 1 Extra until 6 o'clock, and you can watch us online as well. Head to the Radio 1 or 1 Extra homepage for the live video stream, and there's loads more on the Newsbeat website too. But now, if you're thinking, this isn't for me, here's a few facts to make you think. Watch this. The UK games industry is the biggest in Europe, with almost 2,000 companies supporting 18,000 jobs. Games are big business. Grand Theft Auto 5, developed of course by UK studio Rockstar North, made $1 billion worldwide in 3 days. More than many films, including The Hobbit and Skyfall, Call of Duty has made $10 billion in the last 10 years since it launched. Those are some serious figures. And as I said, lots of us do it. 35 million people in the UK, that's more than half the population, playing 8 hours per week on average. And smartphones are the most popular platform for games. So we're talking gaming. And first up, lots of you have been in touch about abuse that happens when you're playing games online. So we're going to start with that tonight. Some call it banter. For others, though, it is a real problem. And this is the kind of thing we're talking about.
Go back to your hut. Go back to your hut, spear chucker.
Say, teeth out, you.
I'll murder your mom.
With what?
Then I'll kill you.
Shut your face.
You don't tell me what to say or do. What you gonna do?
And we've spoken to two gamers. You might have heard them on Newsbeat earlier on today, Matt and Tom, who say for them it can get quite extreme.
It just kind of brings your whole confidence down and self-esteem down.
I've heard people, threaten to come around to their house and kill them, and racist remarks, homophobic remarks, just it's crazy what you hear.
They'd say like, oh, I hope we die of some horrible disease, stuff like that really. Stuff that brings you quite down. I used to be like a person who always used to be out there and actually do stuff, but now it just kind of makes me feel, is that how people generally feel about me?
Okay, so it's really got to those guys, and I know it's happened to lots of you as well, but how much of a problem is it? Jade, tell us what you've heard.
I think it's all about having a thick skin. I mean, I've had death threats, I've been told to kill myself, get cancer, and the list goes on. But I think with this kind of, with putting yourself out there on a game, you need to just have a thick skin and just take it that you're better than people.
But should you though? Because if someone came up to you on the street and said all that stuff, you wouldn't put up with it, right?
Well, no, but it just kind of comes with the territory. Like, there's the anonymity of being on the internet, that someone in America can tell someone in the UK to kill themselves or something like that, because there's no consequences, there's no backlash. It's kind of like online bullying, like when you get on Twitter, Facebook, things like that.
Demetrius, can you sympathise with Matt in that clip, how it affected him and knocked his confidence?
I can see how it could affect your confidence. Personally, it's never happened to me, but you do get abuse. You do get, me myself, you've had racial slurs. Anything that someone can pick up on over the internet, they will exploit it. But that's not exclusively to gaming, that's the internet in general. But it goes with the territory. So if you give abuse, if you harass people, you'll get harassment back. But equally, if you're a good team player, you work with the team, you do things you're supposed to be doing, you'll get positive reinforcements, you'll make friends, and I've made loads of friends online and just as many enemies. It's like a competitive sport, just like football.
I think there's slightly two different things going on here. I think this is the extreme end where that is a problem that you find pervasive in online culture, you find it in message boards, you find it on Twitter.
And Daniel, then, just so people know, you play games for a living, right?
Yeah, I'm the games editor at IGN.com, and then the middle ground where it's competitive banter. And that can be called banter. It's kind of like sledging in cricket, some kind of well-known phenomenon that you find in competitive sport.
So for you guys, it's something you put up with. Who'll admit to dishing it out?
Yeah, I've dished it out. I play a game called Dota 2 in the community, and that is regarded as being quite toxic sometimes. But really, it's just kind of
encouraging each other to play better. Like if the entire team dies, no one feels good about it, and you should probably expect to have the people say, well played, or delete Dota, because...
I think one of the things that's quite interesting on that, though, is one of the things that I quite like is, as a gamer, what quite often happens is, if someone is really going too far and, you know, being really abusive, more often than not, people will actually turn on them, and you will actually get a sense of community out of that, and people will kind of go, you know, will kind of gather around and protect that person, which is something that makes me quite proud to be a gamer.
We fixate on the negative aspects of online cultures and online communities, but there's lots of things to celebrate. Like people make friends online, people maintain long-distance relationships, people even use online games to memorialise the people that have passed away.
Okay, so it happens. There are ways of dealing with it, but it affects some people more than others. Now, we mentioned the amount of money that we spend on games in the UK every year, and you guys will all know, because you're keen gamers, it costs, okay? Big titles, 40, 50, 60 quid a time. Where does that money go, and who's really annoyed every time they have to hand over a wad of cash for a new game? Jamie?
Well, it's always quite awkward having like a low budget when you're like a person like me going to university and you really want to like get into like enjoying certain games, like for instance the new Call of Duty, which is completely terrible.
That's your opinion. Others would say differently, obviously.
But like when you're going to have to fork out 50 quid for a game, on my kind of budget, you just can't do that. So you're gonna have to wait until you like can get home, or try and find a job somewhere in the middle of nowhere, where you're going to university, or where you're going and getting an education.
Sat next to me is Richard Frank, who used to work for EA, one of the biggest names in gaming. Where does all that money go?
Well, the thing is that games can take years to make, and you can have teams of up to hundreds of people. Those people are highly skilled, technical experts in their field, so to pay that many people of that calibre for that long costs millions of pounds. So
the film industry has huge budgets as well. It's only 8-12 quid to go to the cinema.
Plus you've got to remember that when a company's investing that much money into a game, they're taking a big risk, because people may not even buy that game, so they could make a huge loss. So I guess that, I mean, I wasn't involved in pricing the games, but there's many factors, you know, commercial factors involved.
Lots of free games out there. Are they any good? Do they solve the problem?
Well, I think people aren't so bothered about paying a lot of money for a game if it's worth it. You know, you don't mind, if there's a game you want to play, you don't mind going out paying £60 for it. What people are concerned about, and what I think is very anti-consumer, is when you are playing through a game and a whole area is locked off, you know, or buy this bit of DLC, you know, you've already paid 60 quid for a game, and you should be entitled to actually play the full game. And if there is then extra content that you want to download, then fair enough, but you shouldn't be forced to shell out more money than you've already paid for stuff that you should get as basic.
Yeah, and it's that idea, isn't it, of one of the great examples I always heard was someone said, nobody tears the second half of your book out at the shop and goes, well, if you want more, you can always come back and, you know, pay more. Say, no, I want my book, I want my story. And I think, you know, it's a definite argument that I think is worthwhile. And I think it's one thing that indies are actually, you know, so sorry, I'm from Flix, which are an indie games company, and you know, I think one of the big things with indies is we've tried as kind of a group of developers to try and kind of avoid DLC for as long as possible, to try and give people, you know, that value up front, and for a lower price point a lot of the time.
It's a lot harder as an indie though as well, because you're much, you know, you're hand to mouth basically. But you want to make your games affordable, and you don't want to rip anybody off. So it's tough. I mean,
it feels they're being ripped off. Go on, Harrison.
Well, I've always felt that there's a very fine line between something being worth it and then being taken advantage of, and being given the option to support the developer even more by buying special editions and being able to purchase a copy of the game that costs maybe £10, £20 more. You get a little bit more content, maybe get like a cool keepsake from the game that you really enjoyed. I think the key is that at the end of the day, when people like a series or like content, they're going to pay more for it. They're happy to pay more for it. They get to support the developers that are making the things that they love. And there's a very fine line between, you know, there's a very fine line between what's going on in like being taken advantage of and then being able to support. And I think that's why free games work. You know, Dota 2 is completely free to play, but people spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on it because they want to.
You'll pay for it and you'll keep playing for it. Okay, I want to get some more questions in, so we'll move on.
BBC
Newsbeat.
It's just coming up to 5 to 6 and you're listening to a special Newsbeat debate. We're in the live lounge with a group of gamers and industry experts. You can watch it too. We're on the Radio 1 website and the 1Extra website right now. So head online. So let's talk about games and how they reflect real life. Is it an escape for us, or do we look to gaming to reflect our own personality and our own lives? Chloe?
Well, I think, yeah, we use it as a form of escape, and, you know, people who maybe can't go out and save the world can do things that they wouldn't be able to do. And I think it's important to not shame people for the games that they like to play and for the characters that they want to see. Like, I love the character design for Bayonetta, but a lot of people think she's a sexist representation of women, which I don't think. She's a sexualized portrayal, maybe, but she's very, you know, she owns that sexuality. And I think that, you know, you get a lot of people saying that women should, you know, own themselves and be more confident, but then in the same breath you have people saying you shouldn't like this character because she's, you know, in some point semi-naked and stuff. And I just think you shouldn't, like I said, you shouldn't shame people for what they want to play. And there's such a wide variety. If you don't like that game or that character, just don't play it. Don't ruin it for everyone else.
If we're talking lead female famous characters in games, though, I can probably name, I don't know, 1 or 2. Jade, do you think there should be more?
Yeah, definitely. I think it does play a huge factor, but like games are getting better that they are in this female representation, but it's not realistic over any format. Like me and Chloe have spoken about, you never see in the middle of Call of Duty, in the middle of a battlefield, a tubby guy running around with guns strapped to him half naked.
Would you want to?
Yeah, I would. You know, just represent everyone. You can't say, you know, there's not enough representation of women. There's not enough representation of anybody, like anybody at all. There's not enough representation of minorities, women or men, because that's not what games are about. Games are about, you know, having an experience that you wouldn't have with things that you wouldn't normally see. And you know, why would you play? You know, you have a normal standard life. Why would you want to play a game that gives you more of that? You want something fantastical.
Yeah, I mean, the game I've just made, I tried my best to not have any shooting of anyone in the face, and actually included everyone, men and women, gays, straights, bisexuals, you know, because I really wanted to counter that. You know, for me, that's really important.
Now, I thought there's a problem that's particular to video games. If you look at mainstream Hollywood entertainment, not many action films would have a lead female character, because there's this perception that those kind of movies like Salt with Angelina Jolie don't do very well, but it's because they don't maybe get the necessary marketing budget to make them do very well in the first place.
So when companies like Ubisoft, who aren't here to defend themselves, of course, say that it's too much work to design and create female characters in games, I mean, does that wash?
Or the engine doesn't support it.
Games like on the N64 Perfect Dark, Joanna Dark was the main protagonist. She was a shooter. It was effectively GoldenEye, like James Bond style character as a woman. It's been about, they've been done, why can't it be done some more?
Well, Ubisoft do it. I mean, they did Beyond Good and Evil. The lead character was a female journalist. I mean, it was a good game. It didn't do very well financially, but it's a great game. And obviously now with The Last of Us, we've got some extremely strong female characters.
Or
both
BioWare, for instance, with the games giving you the option to play as either gender.
Yeah.
And same-sex relationships in, you mentioned The Last of Us there, Vince, as well. Tomodachi Life, Nintendo got a bit of flack for not supporting same-sex marriage and relationships in one of their games recently. Is that changing, do you think, or is it still stuck in the past?
I actually think Nintendo are quite good at representation, because you said you could only mention a few female characters, but there's Princess Peach, there's Samus Aran, Dixie Kong, Bayonetta was funded by Nintendo. Like, they're doing really good things with being progressive.
But the majority of Nintendo's female characters tend to be princesses and castles. They do tend to be.
Fragile female that can't do anything.
Okay, you're all here because you play a lot of games. 8 hours a day, apparently, is the average for people in the UK. Sorry, 8 hours a week, rather. Who plays more than that? I know, go on.
Yeah, I'm Dan, I run a popular YouTube channel, so I play a lot of games. There's more like 8 hours a day than 8 hours a week, so I play a lot of games.
And how many people watch you play those games?
About 150 million a month.
Okay, you've got 4 million subscribers, something like that? Okay, so playing games is your job now, right?
Yeah, it's my job, and when I'm not making videos on games, I'm playing other games. So I predominantly play Minecraft for my channel, but then when I come off, I'm playing another game that I want to play. So literally, I game non-stop.
Who reckons they spend too much time doing it? Maybe some of the time. Yeah? Some few hands going up. Go on, Jamie.
It was one of the reasons I kind of half failed my course last year at university. Because, like, I got in a bit of a social anxiety sort of thing and ended up, like, taking 6 months off university when I should have really been doing my work. and instead I just sat in my room playing Minecraft and other games like that.
Okay, well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. I'm really sorry to wrap things up there. You've all got lots more to say. Keep the conversation going online at BBC Newsbeat on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook as well. There's lots more at Newsbeat online. That's it from us. Thanks, everyone, whether you're gaming or